back on track here. I'm so sorry. Alright, this is the Vachel Lindsay home. Vachel Lindsay is a fairly well-known poet. He was an artist and a film critic. So he was born in this house in 1879, and he would end up going to medical school on the behest of his father. This would be a career choice that he didn't really want to make, and he would eventually end up leaving for Chase School in New York in 1900. And he is very much the what you would call a starving artist. He did not have a lot of money, and he had very much more of a traveling lifestyle where he bartered his art for food and lodging and anything that he would need. He used his art to get it. And that really helped him kind of develop the type of poetry that he ended up writing. And he saw himself more as kind of a classic old style bard than more really like a modern poet of the time. And he would do that traveling like that for many years until his health would start to decline, where he would end up having to eventually settle down. He did end up married. Due to financial struggles, however, he would end up moving back here into his childhood home, where he would end up saying, he would say, "Everything begins and ends for me at 603, which is the house number." Unfortunately, that little bit of it ended up being kind of a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. As his medical condition worsened, he would fight severe depression, where he would end up losing that battle to suicide on December 5th, where he would commit suicide by drinking an entire bottle of lye. Not a good way to go. Lye. It's a component used in like soap, and it becomes potentially being fulfilled now. In one of his poems called "The Dream of All Springfield Writers," he would write the words, "I'll haunt this town, though gone the maids and men, the darling few, my friends and loves today, my ghost returns bearing a great sword pen," which leads to what some people tend to say that they hear here in the house. A scratching, as if a pen on paper is heard coming from upstairs from time to time. You can take tours of this home as well, and on one such tour, an individual felt uneasy. Whenever they asked the tour guide about it, they didn't really get any kind of straight answers on that particular situation. When they started to go back downstairs, he kind of veered back into one of the rooms of the house, where he moved into one of the bedrooms. That he saw a man sitting on a bed, drinking a bottle of poison, before he would fade away with.
So he did it in here?
Yes, he committed suicide in this house.
So full of poverty, like
What's this building? You know?
This one here?
Yeah.
That's the next stop on our tour.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, it is okay for me to be doing this. But I think the one who lives here would be probably more entertained than mad that I was doing tours in front of his house. This is up until 2018. This was known as the Executive Mansion. It has now been renamed to the Governor's Mansion. It was built in 1839. It's a 16-room Italianate style mansion, and it was really meant to be kind of a social focal point for Springfield back in that time. A lot of public, like holiday parties and such, would happen here, and there are a lot of very well-known names that have actually visited this mansion. Some of those people would include Ulysses S. Grant. Rutherford B. Hayes has been to the mansion, as has Theodore Roosevelt. So it was very much one of those locations where it was to be that social scene more than like really a political scene kind of a locale. And unfortunately, over time, by the 20th century, it became fairly neglected. And it would, I'm talking like warping floors, walls that weren't standing properly anymore. It would eventually have a fire in 1961. So by about the mid 70s, 1976, they would start restoring the mansion. And that restoration would get it listed onto the National Register of Historic Places. I'm going to take out my lantern on the benches here. They do tours here as well. The first 3 floors of the mansion are tourable, and this home is open to the current governor. So Governor Pritzker and his family, when he's not in Chicago, he and his family do live here in the mansion. Now, there was a lot of the hauntings that are talked about happening from the mansion. I think that would be what I would end up trying to ask the governor about if I ever met him. You lived in the governor's mansion, haunted. Have you seen anything? Definitely on the 2nd floor. There is a painting of one of the wives of one of the governors. Yeah, I wonder if he's going to come and tell me I need a permit. We can add to the collection. But it would be Catherine Yates' portrait is on the 2nd floor, and she was the wife of the Governor Richard Yates, who was governor here during the Civil War. And she's not necessarily seen as a malevolent spirit. A lot of more of what she tends to do is more playful. If you end up taking a tour here, she might end up messing with your phones and other electronics that you have on hand. She enjoys playing with the lights, and the fire alarms are known to be tripped from time to time by her. And one of the other known stories here is that one time movement was seen inside the house on a night where there shouldn't have been, and they sent an officer to take a look and see what was going on, where he found nobody on the grounds. He found nobody on the 1st floor. It would be when he went to the 2nd floor, he decided he was going to take the elevator. Well, Catherine decided she wanted long-term visitors for the night, and yeah, you know where this is going. The elevator would end up getting stuck for 4 hours until in the morning it would finally release him. And when they checked the property that morning, they saw no other signs of anyone breaking into the home. Besides the lock the officer ended up breaking to check out the inside. Yeah, somebody reported seeing something moving inside. Maybe it was Catherine. And it looks like that there might be actually people here at this.
Yeah.
Continue on to our next location. I'm sorry, it's 9:10 and we're still doing. I am sorry about the delay, but it's a nice night. We've got a couple of more locations on the main tour. I know at least one of you guys did the extended.
We did, but we probably won't do it.
You probably won't. I'm sorry about that so much.
No big deal. And nothing you could have done about it.
Yeah, one of these days, I have not toured this one on the inside yet. I kind of want to.
Sold out for tomorrow. We tried.
Oh, bro.
I feel like I've seen nobody in this town yet.
And that is the wild thing. Once we get away from the actual square, it's nice and quiet out here at night.
Quiet in the square.
Well, I guess I'm used to the, like, tonight we had the bicyclist, you could come by and yell at us. I get that every once in a while there, but once I'm out here, yeah, no, I never get really harassed or anything out this way. It's pretty nice.
How many tours have you done where nobody's come up to you to give you a ticket? Doing this a long time.
Like I said, I started in January. I've done probably like a dozen tours,
That's crazy.
and I haven't been hit once.
Crazy.
Apparently, he's been in contact with U.S. Ghost Tours. Oh,
Has he?
but yeah. I know I should be being way more professional about it, but I just, yeah, it bothers me. And yeah, it is what it is. We'll get it figured out. And yeah, the Governor Pritzker, they'll do during like Halloween and stuff. They'll do. Like kids can come up to the door and get candy from the governor.
Catherine comes out.
Catherine comes out, yeah.
Yeah. Just should be a good Halloween.
Last year they were they dressed as the Flintstones. It was cute.
Oh my.
Yeah.
The guy who lives in there.
You know what?
Whoa.
That's not under his jurisdiction. Yeah, no, these. I really wish someone would purchase these buildings and do something with them because I think they're awesome looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened here? Why are they all boarded up?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like it's like a lot of those windows don't look like they're more than 10 years old. So something happened. I'm just not sure what it was.
Well, they got a lot of money.
Yep, that tends to be what happens anymore. They're coming for me.
You have a ticket, you could say, get my address.
Ooh, I thought they were coming.
Let's teacher.
Cook Street, walk sign is on to cross. Cook Street, Cook Street, walk sign is on to cross.
Okay, they're going away from where we're going. That's good.
What is that thing?
All the shit.
Oh, this one.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's just the power is different. I want that.
We are coming up on our next one here pretty quick.
You can let the guy back off.
Yep, that is actually our next stop on our tour. It's state owned, I checked.
You check. You checked.
Yeah, it does.
Our next stop is going to be the Dana Thomas house.
We went there.
Right. Lloyd, right.
Oh yeah, you guys are definitely familiar with his architecture then, because he's got a lot of stuff up in the Chicago area.
Yeah.
But, Susan Lawrence Dana had eventually been introduced to Frith Lloyd Wright, and where she would eventually have him build this house. This is a 12,000 square foot house.
Whoa.
It is 35 rooms and 3 levels. As we start walking around it, you'll see just how big this house is.
Wow.
And so her family, Susan Lawrence Dana, they had a lot of money. When her father passed away, she would inherit a fortune. And she was very much known as a she was well traveled. She was a political activist for her time. She was very, very much into the arts, and she was interested in the beyond. She was very bad with her money though, and it is claimed that she would ask for assistance about her money. She would ask her dad about financial decisions after he had passed. She was known for seances and things and asking him for like financial advice and other such things. We can try and get a little bit closer. We should be good to cross here. she did deal with a lot of tragedy in her life as well, which might have also given to her interest in spiritualism. She would lose 2 infant children. She would lose 2 husbands, and she lived in the 20s. The 1920s was a time in the country where there was a major boom in the interest in spiritualism. A lot of people became enthused with the idea of seances and those who could speak on the other side with the other side. And there's a really great book that I recommend if you're interested in reading up a little bit more. If you're interested in more of the you again. Hi, Katie. If you're interested in a little bit more about like the history of ghosts and the history of like seances and all that kind of thing, A History of Ghosts is written by Samuel Peter Ackroyd. That Ackroyd, the Ackroyd family are major into spirits, and it's because of his grandfather and his father and them researching ghosts that we got Ghostbusters. Yep. And that's why Dan Aykroyd has his current show. He has a show about like unexplained events and mysteries and haunted things, and so he's all into that kind of stuff. I'm a Ghostbusters nerd. I have to put it in somewhere. There have been extravagant seances that have occurred here in this house. And what a lot of people who will say that are practitioners of these kinds of things, you have to close a seance properly or you're going to leave doorways open. And some of the ghosts and activity that happens here, they wonder if it is ghosts that are of those who lived here or ones who came through of open doorways. There's a woman in black that is sometimes seen walking through the house. Random clapping at different intervals can be heard echoing through the halls. Sad humming comes from one of the billiards rooms. And one person heard a loud banging going down the stairs as if something had been thrown. And a lot of this stuff tends to occur close to the anniversary of her death, which was February 20th of 1946. I had to do a tour here on that night of the anniversary. I'm like, come on, something happened.
Right.
No, I didn't get anything. But it would have been cool. But yeah, and we'll kind of move towards our last location at the end of this.
Does anybody live here?
No. This is state-owned.
So you can tour it?
You can, tours are available here.
They put flowers in the flower pot.
Every once in a while, they will do different like events and things here. We just actually had a month where you could sign up to play board games in the house. Because she was very much, she was an incredibly social person, and she built the house to entertain. So in the spirit, in that kind of spirit of how she wanted people in the house, they did 4 board game nights each Wednesday of that month, kind of in commemoration of how she liked to have people in the house.
Love it.
I've got one more spot to talk about on the normal tour. I'm not going to walk you guys down. Normally we would talk kind of more closer to the train tracks. We'll do it right here and I'll let you guys go. So we're going to get back. I almost out of spite. We're going to go back to talking about Abraham Lincoln. I have anything, I'm sassy, so that's you got that going for you on the tour tonight. Please don't be anybody. So we're going to talk a little bit about Abraham Lincoln's funeral train. So it was April 21st, 1865. his funeral train would leave Washington, D.C., heading back here to Springfield. They would travel through 7 different states and 180 different cities, giving people an opportunity to say their goodbyes to the president. Mary Todd Lincoln would not be one of those that would be on the train. She just could not bring herself to do it, and she would find another way here to Springfield. Abraham Lincoln would not be the only casket on board the train on the journey back here to Springfield. Their son, who passed away while they were in D.C., was buried there. But the plan was that after the presidency was over and they would return here to Springfield, that they would subsume that grave and bring him back here as well. So they did that at the same time that they brought Abe back. And aboard the train, there were about 150 people for the entire journey. One of those would be the funeral director. The other would be an embalmer. Embalming was a very new technology at the time. One night I actually had someone who worked on embalmment on my tour, and he where I said it was you'd get about 3 days normally without embalmment. He said it's probably closer to about 1 or 2 before you have to bury somebody. So that embalmment process being available allowed them to give those opportunities of goodbye to the people. An interesting story about the embalmment. Allegedly, each time they've moved his body up to where he's currently resting. They've had to check the coffin because there have been people who have tried to kidnap his body, so they have to make sure he's still there if they move him. And the story goes that an individual that was a part of that process brought their son along with them out of school that day to get to see the opening of the coffin, where he apparently looked as preserved as he potentially would have been back when he was buried. So that's kind of an interesting little story that I was told about, as I say allegedly, because it is one of those tales you don't know how true.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a neat thing to think about. Now, another story is that someone who was dealing with the tracks one night got caught in a fog on the tracks, and he heard a train coming, and it was, when that train went by, it was ghostly. It was a phantom train draped in black velvets and having the picture of Abe on the front like they would onto the cowcatcher. So they saw him coming in. And the last car of the train, they allegedly state that they saw a man sitting on a chair at the end of the casket, watching over the casket. That man was wearing that long black coat and that tall stovepipe hat, watching over his own grave moving across the tracks. And of the people that he saw still on the train, like the band was still playing and other people were still on the train, and they were all skeletal as they went by. Yep. Unfortunately, I've yet to see something, but a lot of people will say that the main time that you'll see those hauntings is during the month of April, here and in other major cities where they stopped. People say that they see a ghost train. And that kind of will conclude our main tour. I'm sorry we went so late and that we had that little bit of a snafu in the middle there. You guys were fantastic. I appreciate all of you for being there while I dealt with all that. And as the church bells toll, I will leave you guys tonight. You have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you guys are interested in giving tips and you don't have cash on hand, I do have digital ways of doing that as well.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alright guys, I'm stop streaming like it's
You guys were great.
I know.
I
See you
know I
later.
was a little sassy there.